Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Louise, and I finished reading Gardens of the Moon yesterday. And Gardens of the Moon is the first book of the Malazan Book of the Fallen series by Steven Erikson. It is genuinely so good. I enjoyed every second of reading it. I'm really not even sure where to begin. There's just so much to talk about, and I'd really rather not spoil it because I think it's definitely worth reading. So it's kind of a longer book for me to read. I think the Kindle version, which is the version that I read, is like 660 something pages. But I was never bored while reading. I was always looking forward to reading more. I always wanted to know what was next. The pacing was fantastic. The prose was easy to read, at least for me. There were some things that I was really confused about, like the magic system. I didn't quite grasp it. From what I understand, there are these things called warrens that is where mages get their power from. I'm really not sure how exactly the mages have access to these warrens, but it was very interesting. I still don't fully understand the magic system, but I do look forward to reading more books to hopefully learn more about the magic system, because it is very, very interesting. And I guess that's kind of something I really enjoyed about this book, in that Steven Erikson just kind of throws you into it and expects you to figure it out along the way, which you don't get from a whole lot of authors. A lot of authors will just kind of explain things to you, but considering this is the first time that I've seen an author just throw you into it and expect you to figure it out, I really, really enjoyed that particular way of storytelling. But overall, the story was very interesting. There's so many little things that are happening, and you kind of have to keep your eye out for every little thing, because everything does matter. There's some things that happen and you're just like, oh, that's not a big deal. You just kind of wave it away. But by the time you get to the end of the story, it's like, oh, that was actually a piece of the puzzle, and I should have grasped that. On top of the magic system, there's also these different dimensions, I guess, where gods exist. And while I don't fully understand the gods' existence, it's obvious that they do have influence and pull in this world. The world itself is really quite fleshed out. The descriptions of the cities of Pale and Darujistan are both very descriptive. Honestly, I'd say that the action scenes are probably the more descriptive things, but we spend some time in Pale, but not an extended period of time. Most of the story takes place in Darujistan, and it's really funny because at first the point of views are primarily in Pale, and then it moves over into Darujistan, and I found myself going from, oh yeah, I really like these people that are part of the Malazan Empire, and then we moved to Darujistan, and I found myself preferring the people of Darujistan. But I know all these characters are very individual, very fleshed out, very unique. I loved every character for very different reasons. I think I found that my favorite characters were Whiskey Jack and pretty much everyone on the Bridgeburners team. I really liked all of them. I really liked Crocus, even though he's kind of an idiot. I think his heart's in the right place, but it's a little tragic seeing how dumb he can be. I really liked the Alchemist. I liked Croup. Is it Croup or Croupe? That's the one thing about reading fantasy, in that you just don't know how to pronounce anything. And then there were no pronunciation guide at the back of the book. Really, all of the thieves and assassins were really very interesting. I found myself really hanging on to their point of view chapters. And I think the sneaky favorite character of mine in this book was Animandra Rake, which I was not expecting to like him as much as I did, but I'd really rather not say why because I don't want to spoil anything. But things that happen throughout the series, I want to know more about Lasine, the Empress of the Malazan Empire. I want to understand more about how she came into power, about what exactly happened to the emperor that was before her. I understand that she killed him, but I don't know any details. So I definitely want to know more about that. I also want to know more about, I think his name's Kaladin Brood. I want to know a lot more about him. Like, I'm looking forward to reading more of the books, more books in the Malazan series to learn more about Kaladin Brood, because I think he was in one chapter and his name was mentioned throughout, but there was nothing that's like really solid about him. I want to know more about him. And then just everything with Moonspawn, and I think the Tist Andy. I'm bad at pronunciation, excuse me. But I want to know more about Moonspawn. And then there's all the things with the gods, and I think it's Opon that are the twin gods of luck. And I mean, it's not just Opon that I'm interested in. I'm interested in all of the gods. I'm interested in learning more about the gods and about their plans for this mortal realm, because so much happened in this book, and I didn't quite understand enough about it to really keep it in my head, to really retain it. I assume that the more books I read in this series, the more I'm going to remember, the more I'm going to understand, but I definitely see myself going through the series, finishing it, and then coming back and rereading this book and trying to understand more what was going on. I really rather not do any spoilers, because I would definitely recommend reading this book. I just want to know what happens next. And it's not that this book leaves on a cliffhanger. If it were a single book, I could definitely see this being a single book, a standalone book. But I mean, I don't know anything about this series besides, Gardens of the Moon. I've read this book, and I know nothing else about this series, so I have no idea what to expect next. But I am really, really excited to continue reading this series. But yeah, I guess that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like. And if you want to see more videos about the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, I am definitely going to continue reading this, so consider subscribing. Alright, thanks. Bye.